Hi, my name is Emmanuel Ortiz with SLC TV, and here's what is happening in Sterling and Lancaster. The Lancaster Recycling Center is now charging a gate fee per car to help cover the cost of dealing with recyclable products. For more information, visit www.ci.lancaster.ma.us. It's getting chilly outside. If you or someone you know needs fuel assistance, call Melanie at 978-733-1249 to see if you qualify for help. Don't go cold this winter. The Seven Bridge Writers Collaborative would like to announce that you could give the gift of writing this holiday season. Give someone you know who is a writer or an aspiring writer a full hour of writing advice from one of the experts in the collaborative. Deadline to obtain this gift is December 14th. For more information, visit www.sevenbridge.org. The Bigelow Public Library will be hosting the author and journalist Hank Philippi Ryan on December 17th at 6:30 p.m. to discuss and sign her new book, The Murder List.
I'm Lex Thomas with Sterling-Lancaster Community Television. I'm here today with a very, very special lady. Kimberly Amato is the founder of Megan's Hope, and she is a founding member of an organization called Parents Against Tipovers. Now, Megan's Hope began 15 years ago, and this year is actually the 15th anniversary of the occasion that brought this organization into being. First of all, Kimberly, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending this time with me. And tell me a little bit about how Megan's Hope started. What was the cause of that?
Sure. So Megan was my daughter, and when she was 3, back on December 18th in 2004, I woke to every parent's nightmare. I woke to my husband screaming from Megan's room, and when I went in, she was on the floor, she was lifeless, and he said to me she was under her dresser. Come to find out, we don't know exactly how, but she had to have been playing in the drawers, somehow caused the dresser to tip on her, and she suffocated under the weight of the dresser.
Well, first of all, condolences. You're right. That is absolutely every parent's nightmare. And now, Megan was one of a pair of twins, right?
Yes. I have 3 children. I had an older son, Kyle, who was at the time 3. And then the twins, Megan and Ryan, were 3 years old.
And how old is Ryan now?
He just celebrated his 18th birthday.
Right, yeah. Now, I'm sure that those occasions are difficult. One of the things that, when I spoke with you yesterday, that really struck me was when you said that the landmark occasions are difficult, the milestones, because where there should be 2 celebrations, there is 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's painful enough to lose a child. When you lose one of a twin set, you're forever seeing one where 2 should have always been.
Right.
Ryan's a senior this year at Wachusett, and we're going through all those senior milestones.
Of course.
You know, applying for college, going to the senior prom, getting those acceptance letters, graduation, and then going off to college. And it's, you know, very poignant. I'm so happy for Ryan, but there's a part of me that, of course, wishes that his sister was right there next to him, experiencing all these things as well.
Now, through this heartbreak, you have turned that also into a mission and into something that is very good and very useful. What made you decide to start Megan's Hope, and what was the path of that?
Yeah, so Megan's Hope really was born the night that she died, and it started with an email to friends and family saying, you know, oh my gosh, this horrible, heartbreaking thing happened to our Maggie. We don't want it to happen to you. Please, please, please strap your dressers to the wall. And at the time, I really thought it was a freak accident. I hadn't heard about this happening to anybody else. It never occurred to me that her dresser, which wasn't very tall, it was very heavy, that it really was a danger. And certainly that I had no idea it could kill a small child. So that was how it began. And then on New Year's Eve, two weeks after she died, we launched a website that was called Megan's Hope. And that has always been aimed at educating the public, not only about the dangers of furniture tip over, but what you can do to prevent it from happening.
Now, one thing that you just said that's so interesting that, of course, you would never have thought that this piece of furniture would tip over, even less that it could actually kill somebody. But I think that that's a real problem here, because I think when people buy furniture, or when they're making this sort of an investment, they're not thinking about that. Obviously, you think that something is safe. How can it not be safe?
That's a great question. I mean, we even bought her furniture at a juvenile baby store that sold baby furniture. It was very expensive. It was very well made. And I think we, as citizens of the United States, we expect, if we can buy something here, that it's somehow been vetted for safety. And that, in fact, just isn't true when you think of all the recalls you hear about on the news and all the ones you don't hear about. It's something that, as parents, as the general public, we're just not aware of, that these things are not tested for safety. They aren't tested to see if they could pose a tip over it.
Now, Kimberly, the statistics on all of this are rather astounding as well. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So the Consumer Product Safety Commission gathers the data on tip overs, and they actually get that from what's called the NICE hospital system. So it's about 100 emergency rooms throughout the United States that report all injury data. They also get reports from medical examiners, from physicians, or from parents like myself. And those statistics, most recently reported from 2000 through 2018, break down to every 17 minutes a tip over happens in the United States. And that includes furniture, appliances, and televisions. But it's largely furniture, and it's largely dressers that are falling on children. If you look at how often people are seen in an emergency room, it's about every half hour. And then when we look at deaths, a child dies about every 11 days.
That is really startling. And,
it is, yeah.
Now tell me about Parents Against Tip Overs. How did this get started?
Sure. So myself, I've been advocating for 15 years now, but I'm not the only one. There are other parents, obviously, that this has happened to, and although many are not comfortable sharing their story publicly, just because of the grief, because of they're just not comfortable public speaking, and there's a lot of parent shamers out there who are quick to tell you what a horrible parent you are.
Sure.
We've connected with each other through social media, through news stories, and just kind of searching each other out. And we decided that we're basically all telling the same story, but we didn't feel like we could get that story past our local communities. So we said, how about if we form a nationwide coalition? Because we're all over the country, and partner with other consumer organizations. And that's what we did. So myself and 8 other families, we call ourselves Parents Against Tip Overs. I am a founding member as well. And we joined forces with Kids in Danger, Consumer Reports, and a couple other advocacy groups. And it's definitely been tremendous in terms of helping us to get the message out there.
And what are you doing to get the message out of that? What is it that you're trying to do with the organization?
It's sort of a double-pronged approach. So first and foremost, we want to educate the public that tip over is something that can and does happen, like I just said, every 17 minutes. And that the only way to prevent it right now is to anchor your furniture to the wall. There's a lot of misconceptions out there, especially with all the media attention around IKEA, that it's just IKEA or just inexpensive or ready to assemble furniture that tips. And that's just not true. You cannot tell by looking at a piece of furniture whether or not it's a risk.
Now, you and the organization are also talking to legislators and to other organizations, are you not? I believe that you were recently in Washington, D.C.
Yes. So that's the second prong of our approach, is we want to work with regulators, with the furniture industry, with the Consumer Product Safety Commission, so that furniture is made inherently more stable, so it's safer to begin with. We know that not everybody's going to know how or to anchor their furniture, or they can't.
Right.
So I'm involved in a furniture safety standards organization that's actually setting the voluntary safety standard for furniture. We've met with all the CPSC commissioners and have compelled them to understand that furniture tip over needs to be a top priority of the agency, and it is. And we are out there advocating for stronger testing standards.
Let's talk about this voluntary compliance. This to me just seems fraught.
Yes.
Because if it's voluntary vis-a-vis mandatory, what's the incentive?
Exactly. And that's exactly our argument. ASTM is the organization that sets standards for everything, from the camera that's filming us today to the dressers to everything. And they are tasked with creating voluntary standards. Those standards are set largely by the industry, by manufacturers, by retailers, by the people who are very invested in making a profit.
Right.
So they don't have a lot of interest in any publicity that might make the public think their product's unsafe.
Or in initiatives that are going to reduce their profit margin.
Absolutely. So this voluntary standard with regards to storage furniture, so they refer to it as clothing storage units, so dressers, wardrobes, anything that could be used as a place to store clothes, has been in existence for 19 years. In that time, I believe the standard's only been updated 3 or 4 times. And it takes about 5 years for each update to happen. The meetings happen twice a year, and the industry is very, very, very resistant to change.
Now, what can parents and families do? You've talked about anchoring furniture. You've brought something in here to show me. What is this?
So, anchoring furniture, as I said, is the only way that you can prevent furniture from tipping on your child. So I created a display that has some different types of furniture anchors on it. Most of these you can find online at Amazon.com, at any big box store's website. Sometimes you can find them in the big box stores, sometimes you can't. But I will quickly just point out a couple of things about them. So this is just a cable tie. This is actually Mommy's Helper brand, but a lot of people fashion their own. I do not recommend that you use cable ties, and the reason is the plastic can become very brittle. And breaks very easily. And I actually had one of these anchors fail. The plastic broke here, so it didn't pull out of the furniture or out of the wall.
And I think just over time, that's just something that's going to happen, because if you look at even plastics around your home and whatnot, it reaches that point that it's brittle.
Yeah, exactly. And child proofers actually recommend you use an anchor that contains no plastic at all for that very reason. This is an anchor that I really like. It's called Hangman. It holds up to 400 pounds. It is tested by the manufacturer that makes this particular anchor, and it's very strong, and you can adjust it. Obviously, if it's like this, the unit isn't going to tip for as far. This one would allow it to tip a little bit. This is made by Quakehold, so it screws into this is meant to represent a stud, and then it attaches with adhesive and Velcro. So this is made for a bookcase. You would need several of these to hold a bookcase. L brackets, very inexpensive, come in many different sizes, very easy to find. They can be attached on the top or on the bottom of the furniture. And then these are nylon webbing straps. This is made by Kidco, and this is made by Safety First. And they work pretty well. They're adjustable for length. The thing that I want people to understand is, although the individual manufacturers may test them, there's no standard right now for restraints to be tested. So it might say on the package it holds 200 pounds, but that could be that a 200-pound man just pulled on it. So I always tell people, please consider not only the weight of your furniture, but how much it weighs when it's full of whatever's in it, And then add to that a 60-pound child pulling actively on the drawers or standing in it. You have to account for all of that weight and all of those forces to protect it.
Now, you have also written a book, Out of the Darkness, Coping with and Recovering from the Death of a Child. Now, I know you wrote this a number of years ago. It is available on Amazon.com. And I think you've said that people really do find this, have reviewed it as being a helpful guide, whether it's been a tip-over accident or just any type of accident where a child is lost.
The morning that Megan died, we walked out of the hospital with a little cardboard box with a lock of her hair, painted hand and footprints, and a little plaster heart that the nurses had made for us with her hand and footprint in it, and a little brochure on grief. And I had to go home and figure out how to plan a funeral for my little girl, how to tell her brothers that she was never coming home again, figure out and make sense of what I was feeling. And I searched for books, I read books, I looked online, I couldn't find what I was looking for, so I wrote the book that I wish somebody had handed me that day. And I wrote it so that each chapter can stand alone, and it's useful for folks whether your grief happened yesterday or it happened 50 years ago. And I've had people who lost children many, many years ago, adult children, who've written to me and said, oh my gosh, that helped so much to know that I wasn't the only one that felt that way. And that, it's okay for me to talk about her or to remember him or to celebrate them. And if it helps even just one person, then it's accomplished its goal.
You're doing amazing work, and I know this is a difficult time of the year for you because this was the season when this all happened, just before Christmas. Lots of great information here. Anchor the furniture, look at what you've got. Remember that you can't necessarily just tell by looking at it. It might look strong and sturdy, but if it's going to be someplace where kids are going to get at it, you really have to think about that as well. Kimberly, thank you so much for being with me and for all the great information, and good luck with you with Parents Against Tip-Overs. We'll have websites and information for you that are on the screen for those of you that would like a little bit more information. Thank you so much, Kimberly.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
The Sterling Senior Center Book Club will be discussing 12 Days of Christmas by Debbie McCumber on December 18th at 12:30 p.m. For more information, call the center at 978-422-3032. American Legion Post 189 Christmas Drive is actively seeking donations for deserving veterans. Donated item can be delivered to 32 School Street. Monetary donations can be mailed to Hiram O. Taylor Post 189, P.O. Box 245, Sterling, MA 01564. The Friends of the Sterling Senior Center are holding their monthly pancake breakfast on December 20th from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. with celebrity guest Jason Baldarelli. The Sterling Senior Center will be hosting the Parkinson's Chorus of Central Mass December 16th at 12:30 p.m. For more information, contact the center at 978-422-3032. I'm Emmanuel Ortiz, and that's what's happening.